As I got a little older and decided to go off to college, I actually stayed local. Um, but I started off in business and would just work at the shop for some extra money. And then one Mother's Day, my aunt, they were short on designers, and my aunt said, in her words, it wasn't butt, but sit your butt down, and I'm going to show you how to get these flowers designed. So I sat down with her, and that's just kind of where it started. And I figured out what my mom's passion was. I actually understood it at that point.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Real Pasadena Podcast. This show is dedicated to sharing the experiences of local business owners and inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs here in Pasadena, Maryland, and beyond. My guest on this episode is Kim Wharton, owner of Maher's Florist. Kim has been in the floral business for over 2 decades, starting from humble beginnings and growing Maher's Florist into a beloved local establishment. With a passion for floral design and a commitment to customer satisfaction, Kim has become a prominent figure in Pasadena's business community. In our interview, Kim shares her journey from starting out in the floral industry to becoming a successful business owner, as well as her insights into the art of floral arrangement and running a thriving local business. This episode is sponsored by Buxton Media Productions, your one-stop shop for video production, podcasting, and editing services. Whether you're looking to produce a promotional video for your business, create more consistency with your social media content, or even start your own podcast, Buxton Media Productions has everything you need to get started. They even have a local studio right here in Pasadena where we're recording this podcast. To learn more, visit them online at buxtonmediaproductions.com. Welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So to start with, let's go back to the beginning of Maher's Florist and how that became. As you shared, it was your mother who started the business. And what this podcast is about is hearing those stories and understanding the different paths that people choose when it comes to starting a business and why is one of the things that I'm very curious. So to scratch that itch, what did that look like when your mother started the business? Why did she start the business, and then how did it evolve to the long-standing establishment that we have today?
So my aunt, Lil Hyde, had Hyde's Florist back in the 60s and early 70s. My mom did all of her bookkeeping.
Okay.
So my aunt decided that she was done with owning a florist. And so my mom, a year after my aunt closed, decided that she still had that itch of the florist business, and she opened her own business. And my aunt would come in, and she had no floral design experience. So my aunt would come in and teach her and help her at the beginning. And then that's kind of how it grew from there.
That's interesting. So she didn't take over the business.
No.
She started her own.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. My dad did a second mortgage on the house, and that's how they started the business. And like I said, it just grew from that.
Well, at least she had some experience, give her some confidence that it would work.
Yeah.
And that was, how long ago was that when she started it?
So it was 47, it'll be 47 years, March 1st.
Wow. Yeah. And it's always been in Pasadena?
Always been. Yep.
Okay.
She's actually originally from Pasadena, from Pine Grove Village is where she grew up. So.
That's great. And so tell me a little bit about the start of that, and then at what point did you get involved and really start to see and really understand what was going on? I kind of want to hear your unique perspective coming from, obviously you're operating the business now, but having your parents be the ones who started the venture. What did that look like for you as when you were young, and then at what point did you decide to get involved?
So as a kid, I didn't want anything to do with it. Like I said, I was just free labor, my sister and I. But my mom was always very passionate about it, put in hours upon hours, like I said, running the business. And my dad was just always a great backer. He was just always there to support her with whatever she wanted. So they made a pretty good team together. And then, as I got a little older and decided to go off to college, I actually stayed local. Um, but I started off in business and would just work at the shop for some extra money.
Okay.
And then one Mother's Day, my aunt, they were short on designers, and my aunt said, in her words, it wasn't butt, but sit your butt down, and I'm going to show you how to get these flowers designed. So I sat down with her, and that's just kind of where it started. And I figured out what my mom's passion was. I actually understood it at that
Okay.
point. So I think I was probably around 20 when I started full time with my mom as a designer, and we just have run the business together till, for the last 30 some years. Um, her doing, most of the clerical end, and then me running the day to day the last 15 years or so. But yeah, until earlier this year, we were kind of a team, the two of us.
Yeah. What so starting out as a designer, is that like what I'm trying to get to is where did you kind of align your passions and for something that originally you wanted nothing to do with, and then it's like, I'm sure your parents had maybe this dream of like, we started this business, we'd like our children,
Hmm.
to continue on this legacy essentially. Doesn't always work out that way. I know,
Right.
there's a lot of families I know personally where, the children just aren't interested and they
Hmm.
do their own thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in this case, uh, you found a way in, and you're still doing it. So
Yeah.
obviously there was something that, you really enjoyed. So tell me more about how that started from designing and what that is,
Hmm.
and then to what you're doing now, and how you keep that passion going.
So I found out that I actually must have, without realizing it, had some creative flair.
Okay.
And then once I realized that, then that's really where the passion and the desire came from, to continue to learn. Just FTD and Teleflora, which are two different entities in the floral industry, used to have classes and seminars.
Hmm.
So I loved going to those and listening and learning more. And it's just something, yeah, you can talk to anybody that's a designer in the floral industry, and they just say it's just something that once you start, you just really, it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
It really does.
One thing that, you said was the learning.
Hmm.
Um, I found that to be a very common theme when it comes to entrepreneurs specifically, is that almost an insatiable thirst to continue to learn
Right.
and grow. Tell me more about your evolution into, what would you call it, the science of flowers, because I can relate as a creative standpoint. I can certainly appreciate a floral arrangement for its beauty.
Hmm.
Um, but I couldn't tell you what 90% of the things are, and how they work together. And has that been something that I don't know. Tell me more about that side of the business.
So really, it's almost kind of the same thing as like the fashion industry. I mean, things are always changing. So yeah, and I mean now with Pinterest and
Yeah.
TikTok, and it's even more things out there to pique your creativity and to give you ideas and
Yeah.
inspiration, and that's what it's really all about for the most part.
Mm.
Um, you know, and then learning about the new flowers, because there's always different
There's new flowers.
varieties of
Yeah.
flowers coming out. Yeah.
Really?
Um,
See, I've just thought like, flowers are flowers. There's like 20 flowers that exist, and that's all there ever will be. But
Yeah. Well,
so
and
there's
like
new
there's
flowers.
something that's been out for a few years. Just to give you an example, is something called the Moon Series carnation. Now,
Okay.
everybody hates carnations, or a lot of people.
Why is that?
Just I think because they're just such an ordinary flower. They've been around forever. There's always been red, pink, white. The
Okay.
basic. But now this Moon Series are different shades of lavenders and purples, from deep jewel tone purples to raven's purple to lavender. So, people are amazed when they see the colors of them, just because they're so different from
Hmm.
the same old pink, yellow, red, that type
That's
of thing.
that's interesting. Yeah.
not an industry I would have thought that would be evolving
Right.
like that. That's cool.
And then we deal with a lot of local farmers, which we've just started, I'd say, in maybe the last 5 years or so.
Okay.
And that's always exciting to see what they're going to bring us that are fresh cut. They're not getting shipped in.
Yeah.
We use a couple different farms, one in Salisbury and then one up in Baltimore.
Tell me a little bit more about, that part of the industry, because I'm ignorant to it, and part of what I hope people take away from the podcast is like there's so many different options, right? Whether it's flowers or moon bounces or construction or
Mhm.
what have you. I often people think, oh, I just need to identify this thing that I want to do, and then but a lot of times you just kind of fall into it.
Mhm.
I don't like for you. I don't think you really necessarily say, oh, I've got this passion for flowers, right? So I'm going to start a florist. But the logistics of it is something I'm also curious to like. What does it entail? Like where I don't know where the flowers come from. I don't know that they're locally grown versus and all those
Right.
parts of it. What was that like for you? Was it something you had to? Was it existing already with your mother? Or did you have to come in and figure out distribution and all that? What is that?
I think that's something you just kind of learn
Okay.
by trial and error. Most of our flowers come from like South America, from California. So a lot of like we're priming up for Valentine's Day right now. But what people don't think about is weather out there
Yeah.
affects our flowers. So, if it's a rainy, first part of the year in California, then we're not going to get the quality that we would get normally, that type of thing. So, roses are usually from South America, most of our roses anyway. So it's just sourcing them from different places. But we're lucky enough to have a couple really good wholesalers, not locally, but in like New Jersey and stuff like that. So they
Okay.
get most of it in, and then you can pick your product from their inventory. So they're the ones that get it shipped in from all over the world. And
That's very interesting.
yeah.
So all flowers from all over the world come right here to
Yep.
Pasadena.
Yep.
That's
Holland's another place we get flowers from.
Wow. That's really neat.
What's up, Pasadena? I'm James Bowerman, your Pasadena Realtor and host of the Real Pasadena Podcast. As a lifelong resident, I've experienced firsthand what makes our town such an amazing place to live, work, and play. As a local real estate agent, having the opportunity to serve so many wonderful people in our community is truly a great honor. If you're thinking about making a move, let me show you how my knowledge and experience can help you achieve your real estate goals. To learn more or to schedule a private consultation, please visit realcreativegroup.com.
So tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that you've had to deal with over the years. Any significant hurdles that you faced in running the business?
So from a flower shop perspective, again, weather's always something that we juggle.
Yeah.
And it is hard to make people understand, especially when they've been planning a wedding for a year and a half, that, the dendrobium orchids they wanted, aren't going to be coming in at a good quality. So we're going to have to shift. And so that's something we've really have tailored over the year to try to give ahead of time, give people second options. Like if this doesn't work out, we can do this for you, that type of thing. Just weather. Again, locally, like tomorrow, we have deliveries going out and worrying about, keeping everybody safe and
With
still
the-
getting the
with the
flowers on
snow
their
and that,
birthday
yeah.
and
Okay.
that type of thing. So, as far as anything else, just the challenges that I think everybody else deals with. Nothing major, nothing different.
Yeah. Now you've always had you've always been in Pasadena, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is there anything that you would attribute to your prolonged success within our community itself?
I try to stay pretty active in the community as far as through the Pasadena Business Association, the Anne Arundel, Northern Anne Arundel Chamber of Commerce, that type of thing. So I think that helps, and I think just word of mouth. Um, we, you know, like I said, TikTok and all that has become so big. So we have a great marketing company that gets our name out there that way.
Yeah.
It helps us grow.
Okay. Tell me more
So
about that. So you have a marketing company
yes,
that's it's called a third party
yes,
that you
yes,
work with. Is it
yes.
specific to the floral industry, or is it
So he is actually, I want to say in Georgia is where he's
okay?
based. But did come recommended through other florists that I had reached out to, that I know in other areas.
Gotcha.
And he does all of our online marketing, and then of course all the social media for us too, which is huge because I'm pretty dumb when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I need somebody that actually knows what they're doing. So
Yeah. Oh, that's a challenge. I mean, to with all the noise,
yeah.
there's so many people competing for our attention these days and putting out content. And I know that we're literally here creating content as we speak. Um, so having the ability to stay consistent and stay relevant and stay
Yes.
top of mind
Yes.
um, is important. Have you had any other help, uh, as you've kind of taken ownership here over the years to help get you to where you are today, other than obviously the marketing and
Um,
your mother was a big
I do. I mean, I can't say enough about my staff. I have a fabulous staff who are just as energized as I am about the business and growing the business. And, so they're just as eager to get out there and push Mayor's Florist. That always helps
yeah.
to have a wonderful group of people behind you.
How did people is always a challenge, I feel like, in some of these conversations, as far as like, you know, some people seem to have no problem finding, attracting, getting the
Hmm.
right people in, while others it's always a challenge and there's constant turnover. Um, whether you talk about building the culture or, being able to take steps to qualify them before they come on board. What does that process look like for you, and why do you think you've been able to find such good people?
Um, I'm just going to say we've been lucky. We really have. I mean, we have
Yeah.
had problems, here and there where we hit lulls where we really can't find good designers or something like that. But for the most part, most of the people that work at the shop are they stay. I mean, Joanne, who has been with me, I think she's going on maybe 18 years. Um, I've had a couple other designers who are just starting out, but they come from other backgrounds, designing backgrounds,
Hmm.
and they seem, like I said, just as energized to keep the ball rolling with Mayor's Florist. So, and I just think I look at it as of course I'm the boss, but we are a team. And
Mhm.
we all have to work together, and that's me included. To get in there and get my hands dirty, and
Yeah.
I do think that helps because we do everything as a team at the shop. No one person is slated with the crappy jobs
Yeah.
or anything like that. So I do think that really helps to
Yeah.
give it like a team atmosphere at the
I
shop.
I would agree. I think that's a good way to lead, is to be out there in front with the team.
Hmm.
Um, let's talk about advice for the people who are watching or listening, who are thinking about starting a business. Maybe they love flowers and they're thinking this could be something for me, or it's something completely different. But if you could go back, 20 years or so, and with the knowledge you have now, what advice would you give to yourself or somebody who's thinking about heading down this path of starting a business?
Um, I mean, I've always had my mom there, so she's always who's had more experience at everything at the points when I reached to them. So
Yeah.
she was always there for me. Um, but I would just reach out to other florists if or other whatever the business is, other people that are in that business, and learn as much as you can before you get started. I mean, I still do that today. I've got a couple florists in other states that I've met through different events, and they're much more experienced in it. And if I have any questions, I usually go to them and say, "What would you do?" or "Give me some guidance." Or, and I think that's really important to
Yeah.
have a good, a good people to surround you with
Yeah.
yourself with.
100%. Yeah. And obviously your mother was a great mentor, someone who would kind of guide you and,
Hmm.
through that whole process. What's the future look like for Mayor's Florist? You mentioned having a team
Hmm.
who's all on the same page as far as growing the business. What does that look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
So, um, the shopping center we're in now has some empty spaces next door. So we are actually moving down a couple doors and we're going to expand a little bit.
Okay.
So what we're hoping to do is create an area where people can come in and make their own bouquets. So there'll be, flowers out on the display and they can come in, create their own bouquets or pick out what they want and we can create it for them.
Okay.
That's one thing that I really want to do. And when we're looking into maybe starting some like classes, we just back in May, right after Mother's Day, we got our liquor license.
Oh,
So now we can offer bottles of wine, champagne, that type of thing with flower arrangements. So along with that, we're thinking of, different events for people in the evenings where we could, offer wine and some snacks and do some
yeah.
fun
A little
floral
date night.
designs and yeah, that type of thing. So
Very
just
cool.
there are things just that we have planning once we move into a little bit of a larger space.
Very nice.
So
Well, that's exciting. I wish you the best of luck with that.
thank you.
For fun, let's cover a couple of fun questions here. Um, let's go. I think there's been a trend here with like the learning, theme of constantly learning, surrounding yourself with people, who know more than you do, who can help you, mentor you. Um, Outside of those people, do you read? Do you listen to podcasts? Is there anything you would pinpoint or recommend somebody who's listening check out, whether it's a book or again a podcast or something like that?
Um, I'm always reading more articles than actually books or anything like that. There are some publications that come out that are for florists.
Okay.
So I'm always reading those. They always spotlight a florist in there, and again, their background story and how they got where they are. And so I love reading that type of thing. Um, and then as far as our industry goes, like I said, it's visual.
Mm,
So TikTok and Pinterest and all of those are where we get our ideas from. Um, but as far as anybody, I would say starting out, yeah, just read everything that you can get your hands on, or
yeah.
listen to podcasts. And I mean, I really feel like there's always at least one thing you can take away from an article or a podcast. So
I agree. Yeah, there's been many times, and when it comes to the art side of floral arrangements, which I'm not too familiar with that process. I can certainly appreciate it, but as you were saying that, it made me think of two quotes that from Pablo Picasso that I recall a lot. One is, "Good artists copy, great artists steal," and the secret to creativity is knowing how to hide your sources, which I'm certainly guilty of many a times. But it has to do with looking at what other people are doing and being inspired, but then
Sure.
taking the action and doing it yourself, and
Hmm.
and obviously it's led to much success for mayors. Is there anything else that you wanted to share to anyone's
Um,
listening?
Nothing that I can think of. No.
On that note, I don't have any other questions for you, so
Okay.
I just want to say thank you again for being here. And for anyone who's listening, how can they find out more information about mayors and connect with you?
So we have a website. It's www.mayorsflorist.com. They can come into the store. We're at 8095 Edward Rayner Boulevard, right next to Green Valley. Or they can call us and we can help them over the phone. And it's 410-255-8181.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kim. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for all the arrangements that you've helped with me over the past.
Thank
Because I usually go in and I'm like, I don't know. Um, that one looks good, or whatever you recommend. I trust you. So thank you for that as well. And best of luck with the expansion.
Thank you.
And the classes and everything that you're going to be able to offer. That sounds very exciting.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Real Pasadena Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Real Pasadena is your local online source where we cover the real news and highlight the real people impacting our community. Be sure to check us out at realpasadenamd.com, where you'll also find all the show notes and additional episodes of the podcast. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, be well, my friends.